Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We got something special for you today. We're doing a breakdown of the rules for Jester versus the Horde, as well as a deck list. What is Jester versus the Horde? Well, it is an ongoing event happening over on Twitch. We do it live every Saturday night about 6 to 7 Central Time, so check your local time zones. But we're going to be breaking down what it is, all the rules, all the special gimmicks, everything. It's a bit of a longer video. So grab some popcorn, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. What is Jester versus the Horde? Well, Jester's going to be facing off against the Horde. These will be solo or multiplayer commander games played live on Twitch. There will be a point system in place that at the end of the game, win or lose, will determine how many packs of Magic the Gathering will be given away to the chat. There can be multiple games per stream and multiple streams for this ongoing event. Now, before we get into how to win packs and the point system, let's talk about the Horde itself. What is this game style and how does the deck operate? So how does this deck work? Well, it's going to start off by flipping cards from the top of the deck until it hits a spell. All tokens enter the battlefield, and all ETB triggers happen as normal in case there's anything on the board. So, Zombie, Aven Wind Guide, and a Glorious Anthem. That spell is cast. The Horde has infinite mana of all colors, so there's no need for land at all. All creatures the Horde controls have haste, and on each of its combat phases, the Horde will attack the players with all creatures able to do so. The Horde doesn't usually use main phase 2 or end phase unless there's delayed effects, so kind of just as normal play happens. As for the player's turn, you start off with 20 life total per player and 3 turns apiece to set up your defenses. So play continues as normal, 1 land per turn, casting spells, all that stuff still applies. Doing damage to the Horde when you attack, you're going to mill cards from the top of their library equal to the damage dealt. You win when the Horde has no cards in its library and no creatures on the field. As for the point system, Jester's going to earn points based on what kind of enemy permanent is destroyed on field. For every 20 points, 1 pack of Magic the Gathering is going to be given away at the end of the game. A game win in itself is worth 1 pack. So here's the point breakdown. 1-1 and lower, 0 points. Don't worry about those. 2-2 to 4-4, that's worth 1 point. 5-5 to 7-7, that's worth 2 points. 8-8 and up, you guessed it, 3 points. For any creature that has uneven stats, like the Urborg Tyrant, 3-6, we're going to go with the average and round down. So 4.5 becomes a 4-4. That'd be worth 1 point. Artifacts and enchantments are each worth 1 point. Now, bonus points, add 1 point if the permanent is legendary, so he's actually worth 2 points. Add an additional point for each permanent type that spell or token has. So Whip of Erebos is a legendary enchantment artifact worth a killer 3 points. We added in some special rules to this event for Jester's Horde deck. Let's go over those before we jump into the full deck breakdown and deck list. Jester's special rules. In order to help him out, he's going to start off with 60 life and 4 turns at the beginning of the game. We have a certain enemy type called set creatures. These creatures are worth 0 points and when destroyed are exiled from the field into the trophy zone. Completing a set of enemy cards will be an additional pack of Magic the Gathering for the chat at the end of the game. Some set effects have effects that apply to the next game, but we'll get into the trophy zone and what all those are, the different sets and their effects, later on in this video. The Horde doesn't have a hand, so any effects that would bounce them back to a hand or, to like the second from the top, instead send them straight to the graveyard. Because they're not destroyed, no points are awarded. The Horde's life is its library, so any type of lifelink damage or effects that gain life would result in taking the bottom card of the Horde's graveyard and putting it back on the bottom of the library. Some creatures in Jester's Horde deck have Defender or Vigilance, or can grant Vigilance. When blocking, these creatures will prioritize the commanders and then creatures with the highest power. If enough creatures are blocking the commander to destroy it, or they can't block it, they would block the creature that is the next highest priority. Some creatures in Jester's Horde deck have ETB abilities. Now, they will always target the player for any negative effects, and always target themselves for any positive effects. So the human rogue coming in is going to deal the players 1 damage, and the Kendrick coming in is just going to give itself the boost, bringing it to an 8/8, because it's got haste anyways. In addition, there are some creatures in the deck that have activated abilities, but we're going to completely ignore those to prioritize attacking. This is not a good game state for Jester here. There are some certain cards that we added to the deck just to spice things up a bit, but we had to make some special rulings in order for those cards to be playable in the deck. First off, we have Daxos of Lotus. Now, whenever he makes contact, you're going to exile the top card of the player's library. You're going to gain that life, as we talked about, from graveyard to the bottom of the library. But as far as the spell the Horde is going to cast, as long as it's a permanent, they're always going to cast it and put it on their side of the field. If it's anything else, it's just going to remain in exile, just so we don't have any complications with instants and sorceries. Next up, we have, hey, look who it is, the Urborg Tyrant. Considering it's rare his 2/2 will go off to get extra zombies, whenever he dies, the Horde is always going to pay that 1 to blow up the field. Quest for the Gravelord. Pretty much these tokens are always going to go on whenever they're able to after a creature dies, and then as soon as 3 are added at instant speed, the Horde's going to sack Quest for the Gravelord and get that 5/5 giant zombie. Next up, we have Death or Glory. Some old school throwback, but separate all creature cards in your graveyard into 2 face-up piles. Remove the pile of an opponent's choice from the game and return the other to play. Because this is a lot of choice and strategy that goes into it, we're keeping things simple. We're just going to divide the creatures up into 2 piles at random, shuffle them up, split them into 2, and then Jester gets to pick which pile he wants to add to the field and which one gets exiled. Still, this is kind of a devastating card because things can get out of hand real quick. Finally, just to be sadistic, Temporal Trespass. That's right, the Horde can get an extra turn, but they have to be able to delve 8 cards, or else the spell is negated. It is countered. It does nothing. If they do have the 8, they're going to exile from the top of their graveyard on down 8 cards. Alright, well hopefully that wasn't all too confusing. Give me just a minute. I need to separate this all out. We can get into that deck list and exactly what are these set creatures and how do they work. Zombie, creature... Segment, go. While most Horde decks have only 100 cards in them, you can always adjust this up or down for your difficulty or play style. Maybe you want to run a standard or modern deck against the Horde. Again, this is casual and it's all up to you. For Jester, we have 99 cards in the deck. This is to kind of leave some wiggle room for a commander to be added later on. Also, between me and you, I couldn't find the 100th Orzhov sleeve, but that's not important. Let's go over the main spells and tokens in the deck, as well as the set cards, their effects, and what the trophy zone is, as I mentioned earlier. Afterwards, we can kind of break down some of the strategies within the deck. Starting off, we have 19 2/2 zombie tokens. This is kind of the bread and butter mainstay of the deck. We have 2 of the Sacred Cats, a Taw Crop Skirmisher, True Heart Duelist, the Unwavering Initiate, 2 Oketra's Attendant, Avian Initiate, 2 Anointer Priests, an Avian Wind Guide, and a 4/4 Angel, as well as 4 of the 5/5 Elementals and Tuk Tuk the Returned. And to top off the tokens, we have 2 of the 8/8 Krakens. For the creature spells, we have Ajani's Pridemate, Annex, Harden in the Forge, Arvad the Cursed, Ayara, First of Lochthwain, Caliphie, Beloved by the Sea, Daxos, Blessed by the Sun, Daxos of Militus, Diagraph Captain, Eidolon of the Great Revel, Glory Bearers, Grave Titan, Hand of Cruelty, Hans Eriksson, Hunter of Nightvale, Hypnotic Spectre, Iktaki, Salvage Splicer, I knew I was going to get that one, Indulging Partition, Lord of the Accursed, skipped one, Nadir, Agent of Duskanel, Nissian Hornbeetle, Niven Jarl, Urborg Tyrant, that's definitely his name, Renata, Called by the Hunt, Servant of Temerit, Suzuki, Son of Seshiro, Torian Mauler, and Zulaport Cutthroat. For our sorceries, we have Deadly Tempest, Death or Glory, Temporal Trespass, Underworld Fires. Note there are no instants in the deck. For enchantments, we have Bow of Nylea, Dictate of Erebos, Glorious Anthem, Leyline of Combustion, Muragada Petroglyphs, that's a fun name, Quest for the Gravelord, Underworld Dreams, Whip of Erebos. You practice the names ahead of time, you still get them wrong. And rounding up the artifacts, we have Bone Horde and Coat of Arms. Set creatures. As mentioned before, these are special creatures that once a set is completed in the trophy zone is going to reward the chat with an extra pack to be given away. Now, what is the trophy zone? It's similar to the command zone, but for dead things. This is the zone that set cards will remain in for the rest of the game. And unless otherwise stated, effects are applied at the end of the game, and the tokens are going to get reshuffled into the Horde deck only after the set is completed. So, for example, you have some sets that are 3 cards. If you only have 2 of them at the end of the game, you don't get the effect, but they're not shuffled back in until you get that 3rd card. So let's go over them and what the effects are. Let's start out with the best of the best. That's right, the GOAT. This little fella is gonna reward somebody with 1 pack of Magic the Gathering. At instant speed, when he is destroyed, someone randomly is gonna get a pack in the chat. And this does not go towards that person's 1 pack per game limit. So, in middle of the game pack, and then another pack at the end of the game. That's why he's the GOAT. Tear Down the Walls. Consists of 3 0/4 wall tokens. These tokens will be removed from the trophy zone and remain in exile for the next game. The Horde creatures lose vigilance and cannot gain vigilance. Not bad. That means no blocking. Next up, we have Hired Assassins, which are the 3 1/1 assassins with Death Touch. Don't worry about that other effect. You're going to start the next game with all 3 of these 1/1 assassins under the control of the player. On death, they're going to go back to the Horde's graveyard. Yeah, so a nice little defense for the start of the next game. Now, the Outlaws play by their own rules. You're going to start the next game with them exiled, and after the Horde's first turn, summon to the player's side of the field each in order, Rogue, Cleric, then Warrior, 1 per turn. So, Human Rogue, Human Cleric, the Human Warrior. On death, they're going to go to the Horde's graveyard, just like the Assassins. Next up, you have 7 Years of Bad Luck, which are the 7 3/2 reflection tokens. At the start of the next game, the Horde is going to take 21 points of damage. That's a lot of damage. Finally, we have these 4 baddies in what we lovingly call Bolus's 4-for-4 deal. You have the Sinuous Striker, Zombie Warrior, Resilient Kenra, and Adorned Pouncer. Once completed, These will grant you 4 times points at the end of the game. But the tokens are removed from the trophy zone and remain exiled for the rest of the stream. So you only get this effect once per stream. But there are the set tokens. There's the breakdown of it. Let's go into the deck and talk about some of the strategies we have. So as we were going over the deck list, you may have gotten this feel of, this feels like a casual deck thrown together in like 20 minutes, which in the business we call that super jank. And yes, it was put together in 20 minutes. But let's go over some of the strategies. First and foremost, you have zombies. I mean, you got the 2 zombie lords, you got Urborg Tyrant, which is a zombie. He does make zombies, but we never usually get that effect off. And of course, Grave Titan. What's a zombie deck without Grave Titan? As you've seen with the tokens, you have the black tokens, the white tokens from Amonkhet, some of the other 4/4s, and some of these have a secondary creature type of warrior that is pretty relevant with the next strategy. Anthems. So you have Aven Wind Guide, which grants all of our tokens vigilance and flying, which has completely wrecked us on a couple of occasions. You have Glory Bearers just kind of bringing up the rear to make tokens a little extra tougher, harder to get over. Son of Seshiro. While he is the only snake in the deck, it is the second effect, the warriors with pseudo death touch, that really can wreck. And so throughout the deck list, you've seen just plenty of warriors left and right, in addition to zombies. You have Bow of Nylea, which is going to grant their whole team death touch, which it can get out of hand real quick. Glorious Anthem for the quick +1/+1. The Petroglyphs that I murdered the name on gives creatures with no abilities +2/+2. And I tell you, there's a lot of creatures in here with no abilities. All those 2/2 zombies are now 4/4s. Reflections, Krakens, Elementals, a 2/3 goat. What are we going to do against a 2/3 goat? So that one can be a very kill it on sight type of enchantment, as well as Whip of Erebos. So Nylea can knock out your whole board. This makes the tokens unkillable. Whip of Erebos, the lifelink can completely undo all of your hard work, as we talked about how a lifelink works. And of course, coat of arms, because I might be crazy. Next up, we have the lifelink that we talked about in Anointer Priest. So once this hits the field, the trigger will count for itself and then any other token after it, giving the Horde +1 life. You got Daxos, Blessed by the Sun, that's going to get granted life as stuff enters and dies on the battlefield. Daxos Emeritus, a little bit of life gain with the specialty ruling. We talked about that earlier. Indulging Partition, so if you get that 3, you're going to get an extra 3. Just stacking on top. The Servant for a little bit of life gain, and then some life gain payoff, of course, with Ajani Pridemate. We got Arvad the Curse, who just has lifelink. He's another one of our anthems for all of our legendary creatures. And Iara, First of Locthwain, she has that a little bit of life gain. The second abilities, we don't pay attention to the activated ability, so we never really sacrifice off of that. Ajani leads into the next strategy, which is the +1/+1 counters. So we have plenty of cards that do that. Just Torian Mauler just to get bigger. Renata to just pump the whole board as they come down after her. Nissian Hornbeetle that gets bigger whenever we have something big already on the field. Agent of Duskanel, 2 things here. Gets bigger with the +1/+1 tokens and can leave behind additional tokens that can get bigger with the Petroglyphs. And same thing with Salvage Splicer. He comes in, makes that 3/3 golem that can get bigger, and then he gets bigger with +1/+1 counters. So just little fun stuff to kind of throw everything off. And we have just a dash of aristocrat style, even though we're not capitalizing on a lot of that. You have Annex just to leave behind 1/1 Satyr tokens, Cutthroat for the death triggers, Dictate Erebos, just like the Whip of Erebos or even Bow of Nylea, this can completely just derail the whole board. That 1-for-1 on this can devastate any type of deck. And Quest for the Gravelord, kind of aristocrat, kind of, sort of. It's just more of a payoff. One of the lesser strategies is a bit of control, more static control, if anything. You have Caliphie and Eidolon with Leyline and Combustion. All things is kind of punish the player for casting low drop spells or targeting permanents of the Horde. And of course, Underworld Dreams, just do a little damage for trying to play the game, you know. Also, you got just the absolutely wreck house of board wipes that can completely offset the whole game. Death or Glory can be a game ender, so can Temporal Trespass. And Underworld Fires is more of a tech card because I run Hapatra a lot. Finally, we just have some fun cards that we threw in there, like Tuk Tuk the Return. He didn't get a lot of love in Double Masters, so we brought him back here. After all, he is a 5/5 legendary artifact worth 4 points, so he's not to be played with. You got Hans Eriksson, I mean, fan favorite, just to bring down an extra friend from the deck. Hunter of Nightvale really offsets. It's kind of like a counter anti-anthem for hurting the opponent. I run Hapatra a lot, so that -1 attack really shuts me down. Hypnotic Spectre, just a little annoying flyer that forces you to discard, so it just kind of hurts your resources. Bone Horde I thought was fun to throw in here because he gets bigger with the number of creatures in the grave, and since all the creature tokens hit the Horde's grave, this can get really big really quick. And if you don't have a kill spell or something with Death Touch, it can be a problem to get over. But once the Germ token is gone, it just kind of sits there as a harmless artifact. And Hand of Cruelty, because, hey, samurais are still cool, right? So that was Jester versus the Horde. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've been able to catch one of the live streams, let me know what your favorite moment was. Again, if you get any questions, check the description below. We got a link to the Discord. I have a full page layout of all the rules and deck lists that we went over. But this deck list is super jank as it is. It's subject to change. It's something we're going to adapt and switch around over time as new cards come in, as new sets come out. I have a rough draft of a party deck using cards from Zendikar Rising in the works. So we're going to have multiple decks and have fun with it. Again, join us over on Twitch every Saturday night, 6 o'clock Central, where we're going to be playing Commander Solitaire and giving away packs. It's been a ball. It's been fun interacting with everybody. So come join. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you in the next video.